Hey guys, Keir from Kegland, and today we're talking about our new Undercover Kegerator model. This is a beautifully built Kegerator with a stainless floor, all black interior, LED lights, and all the bells and whistles you'd expect on a premium Kegerator product. Now, the reason why we call this an Undercover Kegerator is because it can go under bench. And when I say under bench, specifically, we've got the radiators not in the left and right hand wall like the Series 4 and the Series X, but rather we've got a fan-driven radiator which basically sucks air into these vents at the bottom of the unit, and that enables us to have this zero clearance. So as you can see, I built cabinets right up to the left and right hand wall, so you don't have any ugly gaps around the Kegerator. So typically, if you're looking at the Series 4 or Series X, those particular models, for instance, have a radiator in the left and right hand wall of the fridge, so those walls need to get ventilated. Now, that's gonna look pretty ugly if you tried to build one of those models into cabinets. So we recommend a 100mm gap, for instance, on those Series 4 and Series X. Can go a little bit less than that sometimes if you really wanted to, push it. But the problem is if you make that gap too small, the heat just builds up and the Kegerator won't be able to cool. It also will shorten the life of the Kegerator substantially if it doesn't easily, it can't easily get rid of the heat. So if you're gonna build it into cabinets, highly recommend going for this undercounter model. It is a little bit more expensive because of the mechanics which are in here, but it's going to last in the long term, and it's going to be a much better option for you for being able to cool down icy cold beers even on those boiling hot days. So with this installation, the first thing you want to do is make sure you have all the stuff on site. I'd highly recommend before you start drilling holes in your benchtop and stuff like that, actually get the drip tray, the Kegerator itself, and ideally have it there when you're installing all the cabinetry. It does make it a lot easier to get it precise, and it is really nice to be able to eyeball everything in position before you start drilling holes in benchtop. So that's what I'm going to do today. Look, if you don't have that and you're working with a cabinet maker which doesn't even want to see the fridge, you can also just download the dimension drawings on our website, as well as a PDF that covers all those, and they can basically import that into their own sort of CAD if they're designing a kitchen for you or outdoor entertaining area. But anyway, the main thing is I'm looking for a 600mm gap here, like that, and you've got to also make sure it can accommodate for the height of the Kegerator. So I've got these cabinets set apart in the right dimension. Now I haven't drilled the top of the benchtop here yet, but I'm going to show you an easy way to do that now. As I was saying, I kind of prefer to get the Kegerator in position first. So I like to go like this, actually slot it into the hole like so. So I'm going to drop this into this little hole I've got here. Now I've made mine with about 610mm gap left to right. And the beauty about doing this is what I can do is actually position the Kegerator so I can see exactly how I'd want it. I mean, do you want this to be flush across the cabinets and the door, or do you want the door to sort of stick out slightly like that? It's kind of up to you, I suppose. But look, I'm gonna have mine flush, so that way I can sort of, look, I think that kind of looks the best. And now what I've got is, now that that's in the right position there, and that's right in the middle of that hole, I can open the door and just mark out that position with this marker. So I'm going to go inside the fridge, and there's a hole which is at the back here, which is basically where the font hole is. So I can basically get a texter and then just draw that in there like that, and just mark that hole. And then I'll just, before I pull the Kegerator back out again, I can see that's bang in the right position there. So now I know exactly where to drill. So I'm going to slide this Kegerator back out again like this. And now what I can do is use this, this hole saw here. Now, ideally what you want to do is drill a hole which is larger than 60mm, because that's what we need to put the little adapter in, but you don't want it to be much more than about sort of 75, 80. So ideally, this one here is a 70mm hole saw, which is kind of perfect for this job. So I've got a 70mm hole drilled now through my benchtop, and now I just have to push the Kegerator and line it up with the hole. Also a good time for me to introduce a new part which we just started to injection mold, which is this font adapter. See, one thing you want to be very careful to do is make sure you've got a fairly airtight seal between the fridge and the font itself. So if I've got this on top of the bar, normally when I see a lot of people do this at home, this is a critical area where they make a mistake, and what happens is they don't seal the air in the font. Now this is particularly an issue if you're using the font fan and blowing air up the font. The last thing you want to do is be blowing air out of the fridge constantly 24/7, and then what happens is warm air is sucked into the fridge. Your beer will take ages to get cold if that's the case. You'll also have a huge amount of air leakage and therefore power consumption on the kegerator, and it just may never get cold enough if you do that. Now, another problem you'll get is very bad ice buildup inside the fridge. When you get the compressor working overtime, the chill plate on the back is going to be sub-zero all the time, and then because of that warm, moist air getting sucked into the fridge, it's going to form this really bad coating of ice on the back of the fridge, and that's usually a key telltale sign you've got very high level of air exchange. So do this part properly and get this particular adapter. Now, I know there are some on the market that sell themselves like this. This is a telescopic one we purchased and had a look at, but look how loose the play is there. It's just not going to be anything close to airtight, this device here. So look, I would discourage you from buying anything that you see like this which doesn't form any type of airtight seal. We have specifically injection molded this product for the job. As you can see, it's got these kind of bayonets on the base there like that. And we've also got like a bit of a sort of silicon gasket here as well. So just put that gasket on there. I should also say this particular device, it's backwards compatible. Even though we only just made this this year, this is backwards compatible with all our old kegerators. So if you go to Series 4s and Series Xs, and even the ones before that, they all had this bayonet locking mechanism on top of the kegerator. So luckily, if you've got an old one of the kegerators, you want to mount it or something like that, you can also do this. I should also say, we've designed this particular inside and outside diameter of this particular plastic part, so it meets common ranges of PVC pipe and stuff like that, which you'll find around the world. Now, in Australia, if you're going to get the, this font, and let's say you wanted to have a font like 10 meters that way or something like that, or just off to the edge. You could even mount the kegerator, in some other position and just actually plumb your way around it. So for instance, this is the DW 50mm PVC pipe. And as you can see, if I just slot that in there, it's a nice snug fit like that. And as you can see, I can just silicon around the top there. But the other easy thing is it's much50 to install than something like this. You literally slide it under, and then if you ever need to remove it, undo the bayonets, comes out like that. So this is the 50mm DWV pipe. Now, if you guys are in America or something like that, this particular font adapter works slightly differently. So for instance, let's say you're using the, I think it's called Schedule 40 2-inch. You might have fittings that look something like this, in which case this fitting, as you saw, this one went into the inside of that sleeve. This one goes on the outside of the sleeve like that. So let's say you've got something like that, and then you can just silicone it on like that, get a really airtight seal. You've got things like elbows, of course, you could use. Now, the other option is you've got PVC pressure pipe 50mm as well. That also works very close to the Schedule 40 2-inch, in which case they slide over the outside of this tube as well. So look, lots of different options there to make an airtight seal. So you've got no excuses to not have a really well and highly efficient kegerator with very little sort of air leakage. So let's get into this now. I'm basically going to get this part and push this into the cavity here. Now, I've actually made it a little bit easy for myself, and I know this cavity is 610mm, so it's slightly bigger than what I need. I could probably make it a bit tighter. If I really wanted a nice tight looking cabinet, I might actually reduce it down by 5mm as well. But anyway, that's kind of perfect. And as you can see, I've got this hole here, which is lined up really well with this font adapter. So then I'm going to drop this into the top like that. Now, the other thing you'll notice is on top of this piece here, you'll notice our 1, 2, and 3 tap fonts also have some insulation tube that come inside the font like this. I'm going to pull this out like this. Is going to help my insulation substantially if I put this on here. So I'm just going to put this over the top there and pull it over like that. So just sort of massage this on. Got a lot of practice at this in my teenage years. Just kidding. Okay, so I've got that on there like that. And as you can see, that's like nice and insulated all the way right down to the top of the kegerator. Then I've got this font, and this will slide nice and tight on top of there like that. Now you will normally have beer lines. I don't have them attached at the moment, but you'll feed the beer lines down through the top of the hole like that. And then what I do is push this on top like that over the insulation. Is a very, very airtight seal. Now that that's attached on top of the font, I just have to get a few wood screws and then screw it onto this wooden bench. Now, of course, if you're using like a stone bench or something like that, you'd probably use some type of masonry fastener or something. Now when you get the kegerator, you're going to get two little bags of accessories. You've got basically these guys here, which are the hinges. So these are if you want to change the hinge from left to right. So as standard, this one has come with the hinge on the right hand side, but we've got these brushed stainless steel sort of hinges as well. And then these ones can go on this side. So you can undo these screws, and it's fairly easy just to switch from a left to right hand opening door. The other thing you'll want to do is potentially use this door handle as well. So this is basically a door handle which is brushed stainless steel. Look, I've tried to match up when I got these cabinets, sort of similar looking brushed stainless steel handles on the cabinetry. You could also just go to your local hardware store and buy your own handles, and just normal cupboard handles will work. Either drill them through the front door, or a lot of them are installed up over the door hang like this. Now the particular handle that we've actually just got double-sided tape. Look, you could use screws as well, but honestly the strength of the double-sided tape these days is so strong, it makes it really hard to get off. So with the particular door handle that we send out with the fridge that comes included, it's pretty easy to fit. Just peel the wax paper off, I've already done that. And you can basically put this door handle anywhere. You can put it left, right, or even down the side of the fridge like this. Look, I think I'm just gonna go on top to kind of match these other handles I've got here, and just gonna go up like this and push it. Now you really wanna make sure you get it in the right position, because as I said, the double-sided tape really is very, very sticky. So it's hard to get off once you put it in place. Anyway, that is it. That's how to install the door handles. Inside the fridge here, you can see it's pretty sleek, being all the black interior, stainless steel floor with the countersunk screws there, and then also we've got dual fan, so air's basically sucked in through the bottom and blown out this top fan. Before we go any further, we really should install this font fan tube. This comes included with the kegerator, so this can just feed up into the font like this. One thing I should say is I generally like to cut a little bit of an angle on the top here. So sometimes if you push this all the way up the font, it can sort of hit that cap on the top of the font, and that shuts the airflow off. So what I generally do is cut this on like a 45 like that. So it's like this, so basically a little chamfer on the top edge there. Then what I do is I cut it down. Like this font tube is longer than what you'll need. We make it a bit longer just in case you've got a thick bench or you've got the font like off to the side or something like that. But put this up the font like this. Then what you want to do is see how much tube you need. So in this situation I've got, I don't know, let's say about that much. Then what I do is get a knife and then just chop that tube down to the right size. It's probably still a little bit long, but I want to kind of be careful of not going too short. And then what I do is I basically feed this tube onto that kind of big barb hole there, like that. There we go. Now that top fan, as well as blowing air over the top of the fridge, it's now going to also blow it up the font and just cool down the beer lines inside the font itself. So once again, to make things like a little neater in here, I haven't actually installed the beer lines yet, but as you can imagine, you probably already have your beer lines coming down here. So just push that air blowing tube past those beer lines at the top there, and you'll be right as rain. Controlled temperature set point, so you can just go to settings here, hit set, and go up and down to set the digital temperature. You've also got the controls for the LED light, which is inside the kegerator. So as you can see, we've got an LED light in the back there. The last thing I'll say is the kegerator comes with these keys. So this particular model, you can also lock the front door. Look, don't be concerned if you lose the keys. It's not a super high, security type key. Essentially, it's just an Allen key. So if you happen to lose these, you can just get your Allen key set. I think it's an 8mm going by memory, and then just go like that, and then there we go. You can lock the door, and then that'll keep your kids out, I suppose, at least until they're old enough to know where the Allen keys are stored. Most of you guys are going to want to put a gas cylinder in the cupboard next to the fridge. Of course, I could put it in the fridge, but that kind of wastes a bit of a a space for a keg. So I'm going to put this in a cupboard next door like that. Now you can run the gas cylinder miles away if you want to. You can have that outside, you know, as long as you had a long enough gas line to run to that cylinder. It doesn't matter where you put it. But look, I've got this cupboard space right next to it, so I'm going to chuck it in here. Should also say we've got this new Ever Barrier red gas line. So this is now color coded, so it's harder to get confused with the beer lines that you got inside the fridge as well. So another thing to keep an eye on the website. So I've just got this pushed into the regulator. You can see I've actually fitted this one with the gauge guard. Highly recommend that. It's not an expensive accessory. Will save your gauges from getting damaged. Another good idea is if you don't trust yourself, think about getting maybe one of the CO2 cylinder brackets. They're not expensive, but they're a little bracket you can put the cylinder into, and then you can actually put a strap around the whole cylinder to hold it there. So they're a good idea as well. But anyway, for the time being, I've basically got this one here, and I've actually got a hole in the back of the cabinetry here. So I'm going to feed this gas line out through that hole. And then as you can see on the back of the kegerator, I've got two of these little bungs here. So I'm going to undo these bungs, and as you can see, that gives me two entry points to put the gas line into the back of the kegerator. So look, in this instance, I'm actually just using the one gas line, then I've got a T-piece split it into two. But you know, because there's two holes, you could use one for nitrogen, for instance. Let's say you've got a nitro beer or stout you want to put on tap, or let's say you want to just put carbonated water. It's a good way to run, like, you know, for instance, water in one hole into a carbonation reactor lid keg. So that way you got carbonated water on tap on one tap, and then you got beer on the other, or something like that, for instance. When it comes to accessories, Kegland has heaps of different options. Look, I'm just going to name a few common ones which people might want to buy. Look, we've got a fridge shelf. The fridge doesn't come included with a shelf, but this heavy duty shelf is purchased separately. So that way, let's say you want to put some bottles of wine in there for the missus or something like that. Maybe that's the way you can get this type of purchase over the line. That one will do the job for you. With regards to drip trays, this plastic drip tray one, it comes included. This is like one with a half moon shape, so it pushes right up against the font. Obviously, there's heaps of different font options we've got on our website. I mean, here's a new skinny font we just brought out there, kind of cool as well if you want like a really sleek looking tap design. The other thing is, with the other drip trays, if you wanted to go to a bit more effort, you could even do a countersunk drip tray. So this is one which we sell on the website, stainless steel, and everything drains to this central port here. So what you could do is, this actually has another little adapter, which then goes into a 13mm or garden hose type size, I suppose. And then if you give that to your cabinet maker, they can countersink this so it's flush on the top. So it is really, really easy for cleanup. Just wipe it, go down the hole, but then they would have to plumb that hole to your closest drain. So that's another option. Or there's other stainless steel drip trays, like this sort of like a half moon shaped stainless steel one. That looks a bit fancy if you want to keep it all stainless steel, or just like a boxy sort of rectangular drip tray like that. So heaps of different options, drip trays on the website, but these few are probably the ones that I would recommend as the best fit for this type of system. Now, with regards to capacity, you can fit either 4 of these 19-litre kegs, or you can have a mixture of 9.5 and 19-litre corny kegs, for instance. But you could also fit in, for instance, like a full-size 50-litre keg, like a commercial one, you might say. And then you can also fit, if you, let's say you're using these single-use kegs, these are the Talos ones, for instance, these are 20-litre. You can fit 3 of these bad boys in there because they're a little bit larger diameter, so you can't quite fit 4. So you can go 3 of them instead. I should also say we're starting to do a number of beers on our website, so you can actually buy full kegs of beer now off the Kegland website and get them shipped anywhere in Australia. So I think the first one online now is the Kaiju Crush. Got Co-Conspirators coming soon, and a few other brands of beers as well. So look out for them on the website. Now, it is a beautiful looking Kegerator as a freestanding unit as well. So if you did want to do that and didn't want to mount it into counter, I'd probably recommend getting the caster wheels. There's a couple different types. We've got the 35 and the 100mm caster wheels on the website. So I'll just show you how to install them on the underside of the Kegerator. Now, if you're not going to mount this Kegerator into cabinets, you can also just put caster wheels on the underside like this. One thing I will say is, if you put the caster wheels on, highly recommend removing these legs first. These adjustable legs, which are screwed in to begin with, as you wheel the Kegerator around, these can sometimes rattle around and basically come undone. And they tend to collide with the caster wheel, and then it stops these wheels from spinning and then get jammed up. So, like, do yourself a favor, remove those if you're going to put the caster wheels on. You'll notice that the caster wheels also have got basically 6 screws here, like that. So if you've got the small, cheaper caster wheels, the 35mm ones, they will basically connect using these 4 screws here. And if you're using the larger castor wheels, like these larger, a little bit more expensive ones, these are the 100mm ones with the polyurethane tread. These are really the ones I'd kind of recommend. Then you use the outer 6 screws like that. So as you can see, just use either Phillips head screwdriver or a Tex screw head to just put these on the bottom of the kegerator and then finish the other 3 in the same way. So as you can see, installing a kegerator under bench is really not that hard. Look, I did this whole job within about half an hour, so really not tricky at all. If you guys have any tips though, maybe you've watched this video and think there's a better way to do it, definitely put it in the comments below for other people to read and help them out as well. The other thing you do is join our Facebook Homebrew Community Group. Just search Kegland Homebrew Community Group and that'll come straight up. Join that one and there's thousands of other guys sharing tips and tricks on how to do these types of installations yourself. The other thing I'd love you to do is subscribe, of course. If you haven't done already, of course you want to subscribe to the channel so when more new stuff comes out, you can basically get notified straight away. So hit the bottom right-hand corner subscribe button right now and hit the bell icon as well so that way you get notified when new videos land. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoy using your new undercounter kegerator and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.